My name is Nora Hanson. I'm 8 years old, and on February 2nd, 2026, I died in the snowy woods of Duluth, Minnesota. I lived in a red house on a hill, just a normal girl. My dad worked at the hospital. My little brother Leo was 5, and he always tried to steal my Legos, but I loved him a lot. We had a small brown dog named Barnaby. Life was happy. It was simple. That morning was a Monday, and school was canceled because of the big blizzard. Me and my dad went out into the forest behind our yard. The snow was so deep and white, like a giant powdered donut. We were having a snowball fight, laughing and running. I remember finding a perfect spot where the snow looked like a soft cloud. I told Dad, "Look, I'm going to make the best snow angel ever." I lay down and started waving my arms and legs. Everything was bright and beautiful. Then I heard a sound. It was a loud snap, like a giant breaking a toothpick. I looked up, and a massive, heavy branch, thick with ice and snow, was falling straight toward me. Dad screamed my name and ran, but he was too far away. Everything went black and very, very cold for a second. It felt like I was being squeezed. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt heavy, and then I didn't feel anything at all. And then I wasn't in the snow anymore. I was floating. It's hard to explain, but it felt like I was a balloon that finally got let go. I could see myself down there in the trees. I saw my pink snowsuit and my sparkly boots. My eyes were closed, and I looked like I was just sleeping in the middle of my snow angel. I thought, that's me. That's my body. But I'm up here now. It didn't hurt. I wasn't cold anymore. I wasn't even scared. I felt light, like I was made of bubbles. I heard Dad crying and yelling for help while he tried to move the branch. His voice sounded like he was talking from inside a very long, deep hallway. I wanted to tell him I was okay and that it didn't hurt, but I didn't have a mouth to speak with. Then I started moving. I wasn't walking. I was just being pulled up higher and higher. The trees and the snow and Duluth all just faded away, and suddenly I was in the light. It wasn't like a light bulb that hurts your eyes. It was soft, like a warm blanket. The light was everywhere. And then I saw him. He was just standing there. Jesus. I knew it was him right away. I didn't have to ask. He looked kind of young, with skin that looked like he spent all day playing in the sun. His hair was dark and wavy, and his eyes were the prettiest brown I've ever seen, deep and warm. When he looked at me, everything changed. The air felt alive. It didn't just sit there, it hummed. It felt like the air was giving me a hug. And his eyes, they didn't just look at my face, they looked at my heart. They saw every time I shared my cookies and every time I was mean to Leo. They saw every secret thought I ever had. But I didn't feel in trouble. I thought I would be scared because he knew all my bad stuff, but I just felt safe. It was like being with someone who knows everything about you, even the messy parts, and loves you even more because of it. My legs got all wobbly and I sat down. I started crying, but I wasn't sad. It was just so much love that it had to come out of my eyes. "Nora," he said. Oh, his voice was so beautiful. It was deep and calm, and it felt like the sound went right through my bones. When he said my name, I felt like he had been waiting for me forever. "Stand up, little one," he said. I did. My legs felt strong again. He smiled, and it was the kindest smile in the whole world. "You're okay," he said. "You're safe with me." I nodded, but I couldn't find my words. He reached out and put his hand on my shoulder. His hand was warm and real. The second he touched me, I felt a giant rush of every good thing. Like Christmas morning, my favorite birthday party, and the way Mom smells when she tucks me in all at once. "I know," he said quietly. "I know." He stepped back and pointed. "There is something I need to show you, Nora." The light changed. The warmth stayed, but the humming got a little quieter. Suddenly, we were standing high up in the sky, looking down at the whole country. It looked like a map, but real. But the colors weren't right. Everything looked gray and sad, like a shadow was covering all the houses. "Look closer," he said. I looked at the west coast. I saw the big mountains. They were shaking. It wasn't just a little earthquake. It looked like the ground was trying to unzip. I saw the places where the food grows, but the ground was just dust. I saw kids standing in long lines with empty plastic bottles waiting for water. They looked so tired. Then the ground really broke. I saw cities, the ones with the big bridges and tall buildings, and they just sank into the dirt like they were made of sand. I saw the ocean come rushing in. It sounded like 1,000 windows breaking all at once. "Is that going to happen?" I asked. My voice sounded very small. "The earth is tired, Nora," Jesus said. "It groans because people have forgotten how to love. He pointed to the middle of the country near where I lived. I saw a giant river, but it wasn't a river anymore. It was a big brown monster eating up all the towns. I saw houses floating away and bridges snapped in half. It wouldn't stop raining. It was a heavy gray rain that hid the sun for a long time. I saw farmers looking at their corn, but the corn was all rotten and black in the mud. It smelled like old, wet basement. It made my throat feel tight. "Why are the plants dying?" I asked. "Because the seasons are confused," he said. "The rain comes when it should be dry, and the sun burns when the seeds need a drink. The balance is gone because people's hearts are out of balance." He moved his hand, and we were in a big city at night. But it wasn't peaceful. Things were on fire. I saw people screaming and fighting on the streets. I saw a mommy holding a little boy hiding behind a car. She looked so scared. I saw people breaking into stores to grab bags of rice and cans of beans. They weren't being mean. They were just really, really hungry. I saw a man sitting on a sidewalk, looking at a little glowing screen in his hand. He was just scrolling and scrolling while people were crying right next to him. He didn't even look up. "They are connected to their machines, but not to each other," Jesus said. His voice sounded so sad. "They have all the news in the world, but none of the truth." I saw the churches then. Some were locked up with wood over the windows. Inside the ones that were open, people weren't being kind. They were pointing fingers and yelling about who was right and who was wrong. No one was going outside to help the mommy behind the car. No one was sharing their bread. The light inside the churches was very dim, like a candle that was about to go out. "Even here," Jesus whispered, "my name is used to hurt people, not to heal them." The scene shifted, and I felt a hot, sticky heat. We were looking at the bottom of the country, by the ocean. The water was a dark, muddy green, and it was moving toward the land like it was angry. "The great wind is coming," Jesus said. I watched a storm wall, bigger than any mountain, hit the coast. It didn't just blow trees down, it ground the houses into the dirt. I saw whole cities just disappear under the water. People were trapped on their roofs, waving white towels, but no one could get to them because the wind was too scary. I saw thousands of people walking on the highways, carrying their babies and their dogs, looking for somewhere to go. "Where will they sleep?" I asked. "In places that are already too full," he said. "Where people are afraid and don't want to share. When the land fails, people's kindness often fails too." He waved his hand, and we were in the desert. It was so hot, it felt like an oven. I saw big lakes that were just cracked mud. The lights in the cities went out because there was no water to make power. I saw people huddling in the shade of walls, just trying to breathe. Then I saw the fires. Not just one fire, but the whole world looked like it was burning. The mountains were orange. The smoke was so thick it turned the sun into a pale, sickly little dot. I saw the deer and the bears running onto the roads because they had nowhere left to hide. "The earth is thirsty for more than water," Jesus said. "It is thirsty for the spirit of its maker. When people push me out, the desert grows in their souls." The vision changed again. We weren't looking at the whole world anymore. We were looking inside houses. We were in a neighborhood with nice grass and big cars, but it felt very lonely. I looked through a wall and saw a family at dinner. There was lots of food, but no one was talking. The dad was looking at a phone. The mom was looking at a phone. The kids were looking at tablets. They were all sitting together, but they were miles apart. I saw a dark gray shadow over the house. "They have forgotten how to see each other," he said. "They look for friends in a box of wires, but the more they click, the emptier they feel. They are starving for love at a table full of food." I saw a girl in her room. She was crying because of mean words people were typing to her on the internet. She felt like she didn't matter. She was looking at a bottle of pills. "Stop her!" I yelled. Jesus put his hand on my arm. "I am there, Nora. I am whispering to her, but the world is so noisy she can't hear me. She thinks she is only worth what strangers say about her." I saw a big office where men in suits were clicking buttons. They made a decision, and suddenly thousands of people lost their jobs. I saw a daddy in a small apartment put his head in his hands because he couldn't buy milk for his baby. I saw him get very, very angry. "Money has become a weed that chokes the heart," Jesus said. I saw the money stop working. People tried to pay with bills, but the stores wouldn't take them. I saw a lady trying to trade her wedding ring for a bag of flour. Everything people thought was solid was just melting away. Then he showed me the storm of the mind. I saw people walking around with wild, angry eyes. They were screaming at each other on street corners. They didn't even know why they were mad anymore. They were just full of hate. They can't tell what is true and what is a lie, he explained. They believe the lies because they are already angry inside. I saw people throwing books into fires because they didn't want to think. I saw schools where everyone was afraid. The air felt heavy, like something bad was always about to happen. Why is there so much hate? I asked. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a cold hand. Because they took away the light, Jesus said. When you take away the sun, everything gets dark and scary. When you take me away, people only care about themselves. And that is a very sad way to live. He showed me a hospital full of people who weren't just sick in their bodies, but sick in their spirits. They had just given up. The doctors looked so tired. They were looking for answers in machines, but the sickness was in the soul. Is there no hope? I whispered. I felt like I was drowning again, not in water, but in all the sadness. Jesus turned to me. The light around him got really bright and warm, thus pushing the dark pictures away. There is always hope, Nora. That is why I'm showing you. People can choose a different path. One person who turns back to me can change everything, like a stone making ripples in a pond. I saw a little light in a dark city. It was a basement where a few people were praying. They were sharing their bread and giving coats to people who were cold. These are the ones holding the world together, he said. The humble ones, but there are too few of them. Too many people are asleep. The visions went faster. I saw a bridge fall. I saw a giant dust storm. I saw the power go out in the winter, and everything went dark and quiet. In that silence, some people finally looked up and found God. Others just got lost in the dark. The time is short, he said. The earth is having labor pains. It will get harder, but those who trust me will not be moved. The light got so thick I could lean against it. Jesus looked at me, and I felt like he was making sure I was brave enough for the rest. It's not just your home, Nora, he said. Suddenly, we were flying over the ocean to Europe. I saw the old cities like London and Paris. They looked like jewelry from the sky, but up close they had that same heavy shadow. I saw the giant, beautiful churches with the colorful windows. They were empty. Tourists were taking pictures, but no one was praying. I saw a priest sitting all alone, crying because no one came to talk to God anymore. They liked the pretty buildings, but they forgot the one who built them, Jesus said. Then we went to Asia and the Middle East. I saw armies getting ready to fight. I saw little metal planes, drones, dropping fire on cities. I saw children in camps with dirty faces and no shoes, looking at the sky with very sad eyes. Man thinks he can fix things with war, he said, but war only makes more pain. I saw the oceans again. The coral reefs, which should be bright and colorful, were all white and dead. The whales were swimming in circles, confused. Why is the sea dying? I asked. Because people's hearts are cold, he said. The earth is like a mirror. When you see the broken forests and the sick seas, you are seeing the brokenness of people. Then we were back in a school hallway. It looked like my school. I saw kids, big kids, teenagers. They were walking to class, but they looked like ghosts. I saw a girl at her locker. She was pretty, but her face was so tight and worried. She checked her phone every second. I saw the mean messages people sent her. I saw her spirit get smaller and smaller every time her screen lit up. I saw boys in a gym laughing and being mean to a kid sitting by himself. That kid's heart looked like a tiny candle about to blow out. He was thinking about doing something bad to himself. This is the generation I am sending you to, Jesus said. His voice hummed in my chest. They are the most connected, but the most alone. They've been told they are just accidents and that they have no purpose. They are lost in a forest of screens. I saw classrooms where teachers wanted to help, but they weren't allowed to talk about God. They talked about feelings while the kids' souls were screaming for the truth. They are building a world with no ceiling, he said, and they wonder why they feel so small. Then I saw a giant clock. It didn't have numbers. It had names of countries. The hands were moving very close to the top. Every tick sounded like a heartbeat. Thump, thump. The Father is very patient, he said. But the time of the great testing is at the door. It's not to punish people, Nora, but to harvest what is real. The wind is starting to blow. I saw a field of wheat. When the wind blew, the empty stalks just snapped and flew away. But the stalks that were full of grain bowed low. They were heavy and humble, and they stayed rooted. The storms, the floods, the fires, they are the wind, he said. They will show what is real and what is empty. People will lose their things, and only what they have in their hearts will stay. I saw a family who lost their house in a flood. They were sitting in the mud, but the daddy was reading the Bible to them. They were crying, but they had a light around them that the water couldn't wash away. Then I saw a family in a mansion. When their money disappeared from the computer, the daddy gave up because he had nothing else to stand on. I want to save them, I cried. Can't we just tell them? Jesus looked at me with so much love, it felt like I was melting. I show them every day, Nora. In the sunrise, in the birth of a baby, in the quiet voice inside them. But they plug their ears. They want a God who gives them toys, not a God they have to follow. He stepped closer. That is why I'm sending you. A little child will lead them because a child doesn't have a plan, just the truth. You died and saw what is real. Your voice will be different. I felt a cold shadow. He was showing me what would happen if I went back. I saw myself in Duluth. I saw people at school making fun of me. I saw people on the internet calling me crazy. I saw how lonely I would feel knowing all this while other kids only talked about video games. It will be hard, he said, but I will be with you. When you feel lonely, remember the hum in the air. Remember I'm closer than your breath. He showed me a map with tiny sparks of light. They were in basements, kitchens, and hospitals. These are my hidden ones, he said. Find them. Tell them to hold on. The morning is coming. The sparks were small, but the darkness couldn't blow them out. It was like the sparks were holes in the dark, letting the light from this place shine through. The darkness is just the absence of me, he said. When you speak, you bring the light. You don't have to be loud. You just have to be true. The vision started moving like a fast movie. Jesus looked at me one last time. Look at the children, he said. I saw little kids like me and Leo. Adults were teaching them things that made them confused about how God made them. I saw their innocence being stripped away like bark from a tree. Woe to those who make the little ones stumble, Jesus said. For a second, he looked like a giant, powerful storm of justice. They are teaching them to doubt me before they even know my name. He showed me families in Minnesota and Iowa. Dads were too busy working for stuff to know their kids. Dads had left their spots, leaving a big hole in the house. A dark mist was making kids hate their parents. The family is the first church, he said. If the foundation is broken, everything falls. They must return to the table. They must return to me. Then he showed me the earth one last time. I saw the ground in Yellowstone boiling. I saw the plates under the middle of the country groaning. I saw a day when the map would change in 1 hour. The earth can't hold the weight of sin anymore, he whispered. I saw the great silence again. A flash of light, and then every phone went black. Every car stopped. It was so quiet, it was scary. People were looking at their dead phones, not knowing how to find food or talk to their neighbors. Some people went crazy with fear. Others looked at the stars and remembered God. I will take away their idols, Jesus said. I will take away the things they trust more than me, so they have one last chance to reach for my hand. The light started to pulse. It got so bright I couldn't see the pictures anymore. It was just him and me. I don't want to go back, I said. I was crying liquid light. It's so dark and cold down there. Everyone is so angry. Please let me stay. Jesus walked up to me and gave me a hug. It was the best hug ever. It felt like being home after being lost in the dark for 1,000,000 years. I buried my face in his shoulder and just sobbed. I don't want to leave you, I said. You're not leaving me, he whispered. I'm sending you. You are my messenger, Nora. You are a light I am putting back in the dark. And the darkness can never put you out. He held my face in his hands and looked into my eyes. I love you, Nora. I always have. One day you'll come back here, but not today. Go and tell them. Tell them the king is coming, but the father is still waiting. He kissed my forehead and the light exploded. Suddenly, I felt like I was being pulled through a tiny straw. The warmth was gone, the peace was gone, and then pain. My chest felt like a giant stepped on it. I couldn't breathe. My lungs felt like they were full of needles. I tried to cough, but I couldn't. I felt someone hitting my chest over and over. "Come on, Nora. Breathe, sweetie, breathe." I heard Dad's voice. It sounded weird and far away. I heard Barnaby barking. I heard the loud wee-woo of the ambulance. I coughed. A bunch of cold spit and sickness came out. I gasped, and the cold air hurt my throat. I tried to scream, but it just came out as a tiny moan. "We have a pulse. She's back." I opened my eyes for a second. I saw the gray Duluth sky. I saw the orange coats of the rescue people. I saw my dad's face. He was covered in snow and tears, and he looked so scared. Then I fell asleep into a different kind of dark. When I woke up for real, it was February 4. I was in a hospital bed. Everything was white and smelled like soap. I had tubes in my nose, and my chest was all purple and sore from where they did CPR. My mom was sleeping in a chair next to me. My dad was looking out the window. When I moved, they both ran to me. "Nora?" Mom whispered. She was shaking and crying. "Oh, thank God, thank God." My dad just held my hand and cried into the blanket. A doctor came in. His name was Dr. Miller. He looked at me like I was a ghost. "Nora," he said, "do you know how long you were gone?" I shook my head. "You were under that branch for a long time, and then your heart stopped for even longer on the way here." "Nora?" It was 21 minutes. 21 minutes without a heartbeat. Your brain should have, well, it doesn't make sense. You're perfect. I've never seen anything like it. I looked at him. My throat was very dry. "I wasn't alone," I whispered. "I saw him." I stayed in the hospital until yesterday. They did all the brain scans and tests, but they just kept shaking their heads and calling me a miracle. But I knew why I was here. I had a job to do. I told my mom and dad everything. I told them about the light and the humming and the scary storms and the lonely families. My dad, who doesn't usually talk about God, just sat there and cried. My mom just kept stroking my hair like she knew I was telling the truth. Today is February 7th, 2026. I'm back in my red house in Duluth. My small brown dog is sleeping on my feet, and Leo keeps coming into my room to give me his favorite toys because he's glad I'm home. Everything looks different now. The TV looks silly. The things people worry about seem so small. I'm 8 years old. I died in a snow angel. And Jesus brought me back to tell you, the storms are coming, the floods and the fires and the scary times are real. But the scariest part is how much we've forgotten how to love. We built our lives on things that can break, but Jesus said there is still time. Time to be kind. Time to pray. Time to turn back to Him. He isn't far away. He isn't a story in a book. He is right here. He loves you so much it would make you cry if you felt it. I know because I stood right next to Him. So please, turn back to Him before the dark gets too heavy. He is waiting for you, and He wants you to come home.